You should cut your beard.
Don't hate on the beard. Ready? All right, here we go. What's up, you guys? What episode is this?
3.
All right, well, what's up? Welcome to episode number 3. Our producer's like, all right, episode number 3 of season 3.
Yes. Welcome.
Welcome. Today we're talking about probably something I think a lot of people feel in business, even at the highest stages. I still think people feel like this. I know there are times when I feel like this, probably actually lately, in the last 6 months more than ever before.
Really?
Yeah, because I haven't been able to be freaking home, and so I'm finally home. But I was like gone for like almost 3 months, it seems, at least 80% of the time. And so I think this is a topic a lot of people can relate to. And the topic is finding, in business specifically, when you start winning and you have a lot of momentum and you're even maybe making money and you still feel like you can't seem to get that feeling that everything's going perfect. Like it always feels like somewhere, some facet of your life, something's off.
Like you're dropping the ball somewhere.
Yeah. So for example, I was on the phone earlier with one of our very best agents, and her and her husband have been in business for about 2 years. They're doing really well. They're making money. They're crushing it. They have more momentum now than they've ever had before. They have everything they wish they had 6 months ago, right? Because I said, man, just imagine, even 90 days ago, to have your business in the place that it's in right now was the dream for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, yeah, Coach, I feel like, I just feel like blah. And I was like, really? I said, why? And she's like, I just feel like off. And so the reality is that in the middle of winning and having everything they've been working so hard to get to, they still feel like something's off. And I told her, I said, that's because there's always going to be a lack of balance somewhere.
Yeah, society does preach this, you need to find balance, right? Like a work-life balance.
Yeah.
And I think it's a myth. I don't think there's ever going to be anything where you feel like your life is completely balanced in all areas.
Right, I agree. After 12 years of business, I still feel like that. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about when you're in that spot and you're fired up, and because we're talking about business, right? But it could be your health, it could be your nutrition, it could be your fitness, like anything, and we'll cover that. But when you're chasing a goal in some department and you're hitting it, then you feel like, man, this is all right, this is good, this is what I've been working towards, this is what I wanted. When you're in that space, it's because a lot of your focus has shifted into accomplishing this thing, to making that thing happen, right? Mm-hmm. And so to get there, we only have so much time, so much focus, and so much energy every day. That's something I talk about a lot, is every morning we wake up, we've got 3 cups: time, energy, focus. How much time do I get for the day is not something that we can negotiate. We all get 24 hours. How we spend them, how we invest them, that's up to us. Energy, well, you can wake up in the morning, get in this huge fight with your significant other. You still got the same 24 hours, but now like you just blew through your energy and you're drained, right? And by the time you leave the house to go to work, you just feel like crap. You cannot refill that cup today, no matter what anyone tells you. You could meditate, you could do all these things to try to get it, but you're not going to get it fully back. And then focus. We only have so much focus. We only got one freaking brain. And so when she's hitting this goal and she's making this stuff happen, all her focus has gone there. Her energy's gone there, right? And the majority of her time has gone there. Therefore, what happens?
You feel like you're shortchanging everything and everyone else around you.
Because it had to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So I borrowed the time I used to put over here to this thing, and I stuck it here. And so now I'm lacking over here, or I feel like I'm lacking over here. And that's factual. You can't do anything about that. So let's talk about 3 ways or 3 things to do when you're in that space, because it's kind of this stuck feeling.
Mm-hmm. The first thing always is going to be prioritize. I think we even talked about this in like one of the last 2 videos that we went through, but it's prioritize, what is important at this time in your life, because that's always going to change. And for, the agent that you're talking about, her, and her husband's focus is to get business up and running.
Right.
Because they're both doing this full time. So it's a necessity. It has to be a priority. They have kids, they have bills to pay. So that's got to be a main focus.
Yeah. And I would say prioritize and then inspect where you're at in that spot, right? So when I was on the phone with her, here's the first thing I did. I know that there's a lot of different areas in someone's life that could be important, right? So for example, your faith, and then your family, and not in any order, your faith, your family, your relationships, right? Your friendships, your business, your nutrition and your eating, your fitness. Like there's a lot of different areas, right? So what I wanted to do was I wanted to find out, and even maybe find out for her, not just from her, because I don't know that she was even conscious of it, where in her life right now she's getting that ugly feeling from. Like what is she lacking in what department, right? And so I asked her, I said, well, let's talk about the most important thing, because I know you're a mom and you're doing that and you always do a great job. I know you're a wife, you're doing that and you always do a great job. And those 2 things are really, 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 really high on the list, right? Because that's your family, that's your life. So outside of that, where do you feel like you're dropping the ball? Let me ask you, most important thing, how's your business doing? And because the business fuels everything. The business fuels the family. The business fuels time with the family. The business funds the family. The business does everything. She said, oh my gosh, better than ever before. And I said, okay, 90 days ago, your dream was to be sitting where you are now. So if it's not the business, then where do you feel like you're lacking? She's like, God, I have no time to meal prep. I feel like I'm freaking fat. I don't have time to go to the gym, right? Exactly, fitness, health. She's like, I bought all these healthy groceries, and I haven't even had time to go in the kitchen and prep. And so I said, okay, well, the first thing we did is we prioritized, which they've done a great job on, and that's why they're winning. Then I said, let's inspect now. These are all the things in my life that are most important. Put them in order and figure out, where do I feel this lack of balance? And for her, it was in her nutrition, and it was in her ability to consistently eat right and go to the gym.
Yeah.
So that's number 1.
Great advice.
Prioritize, then inspect, right?
Yes.
Whenever I feel like that, how often do you feel like that? Have you felt like that lately or no?
Not lately.
Oh,
It's been a minute. I'm really well. You're very a creature of habit. So whenever you're taken out of your habitat,
hate it. I freaking hate it.
You find it hard to like pivot, to adjust to that new environment. Like if you're out of town, you just feel all out of whack.
I have to have a routine, and my routine just gets jacked up, and I'm like the 2 months that I was in Texas, and I spent 2 months sitting in the ICU,
which was necessary.
But people go, well, there's a gym over there. I'm like, dude, you don't understand. Like I wasn't in a position, because the gym and nutrition's way up high on my list, right?
Yes.
But for that 2 months, it wasn't. It got moved to the bottom. And that's one of the things, too, is that sometimes priorities change. So that got switched to the bottom for me. And I'm also an all or nothing person. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Can I sneak out real quick, hit the gym for 45 minutes and come back? Yes. But then, unless I'm eating fast food, I'm not eating. My nutrition's way off. I'm not getting any protein. So now I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to the gym, but what the hell is the point? Like, my nutrition sucks. So going to the gym ain't going to do me any good. You know, and I know one person will be like, well, but you get your body moving, your endorphins go up. Yeah, that's cool. But I know that from a science standpoint, I'm wasting my time, you know, compared to what it usually is. So for me, it's the same thing. Like, I felt this imbalance. I think this is true for a lot of entrepreneurs. The ugly thing that I'm missing for a lot of people goes back to their fitness and their nutrition, because they're putting their whole life to get their business moving.
And the big thing about the whole fitness and nutrition health is that if you're not doing those things, your energy cup is not full to begin with.
That's true.
So you're not feeling good about yourself, and the energy that you're putting out, you're just tired. You're tired. You don't feel good. That's not the best energy that you could bring to the table every
Isn't
day.
that funny though? Because people go, I just can't go to the gym because I'm too tired. When the reality is they're tired because they don't go to the gym.
Well, I'm going to tell you something about that, because I don't enjoy going to the gym. I do now because I go with Sherry, and so then we get coffee after, so we make it a fun thing. But I hated going to the gym. I hated it. Jay couldn't get me to go to the gym for anything.
For probably the first 10 years of our relationship.
Yeah.
And, well, but you're also very fortunate that you don't get fat no matter what you eat. And so that helps.
But what works for me is I have to go first thing in the morning, because that's when my energy cup is the fullest. So because I don't necessarily love doing it, that's not where I want to spend all my day. I go first thing, that way I can use that energy. If I wait till the end of the day, forget it. My cup's empty. I'm empty. I'm not going.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, that was where I felt the lack of balance. But in my head, I knew prioritize, inspect. I will get back on routine. I got to knock this, and this out, and then I could go back to my normal schedule. And so that was the first thing I told her was, I said, listen, there's always going to be a lack of balance somewhere. And right now, your priorities are in alignment with your goals. And so let's talk about number 2, because I think this will help. The question is, well, what's the solution then? Do I just have to keep feeling like something's off? The number 2 thing I told her was, I said, you need to declutter on paper.
On paper is really important.
On paper.
But why on paper?
On paper because every time I feel like crap, I grab a paper or I grab a note. You know, I go to the notes on my phone and I start typing in, like, what are all the things that are occupying the focus in my mind, right? Because remember, time, energy, focus. What are all the things occupying the focus in my mind? And so for her, what I was trying to tell her was, what can you eliminate? Because if you want to be able to have time to meal prep and you want to be able to have time to go to the gym so that you feel good physically, because that also, the mind and body are connected, right? I said, what can you eliminate to free that up, right? So some things we can eliminate and some things we can outsource, right? So eliminate means that, like, I'm doing this and I really don't need to be doing this. So I could just get rid of it. Other things are things like, okay, this is necessary, but can I outsource it? What do I mean by that? Can I pay someone else to do it for me? So I said, so for example, the gym. Do you have a problem getting an hour in the gym? She said, no. I said, either get up earlier or go to bed later, one of the two, and you could get it done. Or eliminate some stuff in the middle of the day that you don't need to be doing and you could free up the time. The food thing, I said, you need to either find more time by eliminating something else or pay someone to do your meal prep, right? Which means I got to keep the business good so I could make a couple extra $100 a month or a week so that I could pay someone else to do my meal prep. So can I eliminate things? Can I outsource? Why on paper? Because when you put it on paper, you can see it. And then you can literally draw a line through all the crap you're going to get rid of out of your life. And it's this freeing experience where you go, oh my gosh, I just freed up a lot of space.
It's very satisfying. Having things on paper helps you to feel less overwhelmed, like you said, decluttered. And it gives you this like physical game plan where you can take action on.
Yeah, and it's a really powerful thing to be able to eliminate things so that you could keep whatever the main thing is at the very front of the line. So for her right now, the main thing is her business because her business is going to supply everything else for her life. And so her and her husband are like, all right, cool. A little bit of imbalance here. Maybe we get a little fluffier for a little while, but it's all good because once we get our business up and moving, we just bought back the next 40 years of our life, right? What?
Is it fluffy?
Yeah, fluffy's good.
You just can say, a little out of shape.
Okay, a little out of shape.
You can be skinny and be out of shape.
That's true.
It's called skinny fat.
That's how I felt the last 2 months. I went on the scale today. I was down 27 pounds of mainly muscle. I felt skinny fat. Someone was like, "Oh, you look good." I was like, "Yeah, in clothes, but I'm like fat underneath."
You're not fat.
Skinny fat.
Yeah.
Oh, she agreed. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I'm the one who said skinny fat.
All right, number three. The last point. So number 1 is I'm going to prioritize. And I'm going to inspect. Number 2 is I'm going to declutter by eliminating things or outsourcing and paying someone else to do things that I still need to do, right? Number 3 is a really, 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 really big one, and I think it's accepting things, right? So talk about number 3, which is just accepting the fact that there is a time and place for every single part of your life, right? That sometimes you just can't get away from it.
Yeah, you've talked about it. There's seasons in your life that are going to require your attention. Somebody really close to us was very, very sick. And so it was necessary. We felt it was necessary for you to go to Texas and to spend that time with her. And no regrets. It's the best use of, your time that you could have done. But that's unexpected. It was not completely unexpected, out of the blue, and you just have to adjust with life sometimes.
Right.
But when you're starting a business, God willing, you're able to contribute a lot of time in that area. That way, when times come like this, unexpected, but you need to physically be somewhere and spend more time, doing something else, you've built your business enough where it can still run if you're not present.
I was at the gym today, and a buddy of mine goes, "Where you been, man? I haven't seen you in months." And I said, I was gone, and he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "You were in Texas, right?" And because he follows my Instagram, and you know what he said? He said, "You were able to just be gone for 2 months?" And I was like, I didn't even really comprehend what he was saying at first. I was like, "Yeah, well, what do you mean?" And he's like, you don't have to work or anything?" And I was like, "Well, I guess no, not really." And it was surreal to think about that's why you work hard in business if you're an entrepreneur. It's to eventually you don't have to do those things. And when you're growing in that process like that, you have to accept that there are times when you're going to work 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours a week. And then there are times when seemingly all that work is not going to work. And you're just like spinning your wheels and you're like, man, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should go get a job. And there's going to be times when you feel like that, and it's always part of the process. And through that time, your focus will be required in some departments, and then later on, the requirement for your focus will shift. I want to talk real quick about a couple of the key seasons in business as an entrepreneur. Like in this couple's scenario that we're talking about, the first thing was I'm in the money-making requirement season. Like right now, I just need to make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I got to make money. And we were there for a long time.
Yeah, it happens. It's part of the process.
100%. Most people that are first-generation entrepreneurs in their family didn't come from money, right? Like we talked about in episode 1. And so if you didn't come from money and you're the dreamer in the family who goes, all right, I'm about to break all rules of what's expected. I went to school to be a nurse, and F nursing, I'm going into business. And everyone's like, what in the hell is this person doing? What is wrong with you? Then you're probably in a position where you could really benefit from having a season in your life where you make a crap ton of money.
Yes.
Right? Why? because I'm in the money-making season so that then I could get into the pay off all my freaking debt season. And the reality is that most of America has debt. Mm-hmm. Whether it's student loan debt because you went to nursing school, or whether it's car debt or credit card debt or personal loan debt or medical debt or IRS debt or mortgage debt, or you're in debt to your grandma, most people have debt. And so if I could get in a money-making season, then I could get in a pay off all my debt season. And then what? A saving money season, mm-hmm. right?
Saving, investing.
Saving and investing. Me, I was really good at making money. And then we paid off debt. And Ronnie's really good at saving it. And if it wasn't for that, we probably wouldn't have any.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I'm also really good in the spending money season, which isn't a season.
It's not.
No.
It shouldn't be.
So, making money, paying off debt, and then saving money. And that saving season is, I think, the most rewarding season in the beginning, besides the paying off debt and holy crap, I could finally save. I think that's like the first light at the end of the tunnel for most people when they start in business.
It was for me. I loved seeing money in my account because forever it was empty.
It's crazy. I literally remember like card getting declined, like
checking before you get gas. Like how much money do I have in the account? How much can I fill up my car with?
You put it in your pump and you were on empty, right? And it stops at $12.42 and you're like, maybe the clicker came loose. No. And you're like, oh, kunk, kunk, kunk. You're like, oh, shit. I know they didn't run out of gas. So that means I ran out of money, right? And boom, your account says 0, 0, 0. Yeah, I remember it. And so the make money season, pay off debt season, save money season. And then in our business, you eventually get into the duplication season, where now you start to build an agency, or you're starting to build some sort of a team, or if you're running a real estate firm, you start to build other agents or whatever it is. You get to a spot where now I don't have to do it all myself anymore season. Mm-hmm. You remember when we hit that?
Yes.
And we're still kind of like, I still feel like we're still in that season, right?
Right. I do too.
And we will be forever because that's the most fun part of the business. And then what? Then it comes the getting freaking rich as hell season, where now you're building a big ass business, you're investing money, you're saving money, your money's making money, and then eventually the, retire in your 30s season or 40s season or whatever it may be. But there's just different seasons in business, right? And there's an element in every single one that's required of you. And that's why I said the point 3 of that conversation I had with her was, hey, you just got to accept where you're at. You just got to accept where you're at and bust your freaking butt and work as hard as you can. Know
that it's temporary. Seasons are temporary.
They always change, right? And then you look back and you go, man, that was a rough patch. Like for us, 2023 has been a rough year. Not in business. In business, it's been the best year we've ever had. Financially, it's been the best year we've ever had. But it's been a rough year in all the other areas, or not all of them, I should say, but in a lot of them, right? And losing people and having to be away and, not being able to be home and not being able to be on routine and having to travel a lot and not always travels. Sometimes you get to a point where you don't even want to travel anymore. You just want to be home. And so it's interesting because business-wise, everything's fantastic. But then there's still other areas in life that you still have to deal with. It's just part of the game.
Yeah. So once you can accept it, you can just do the best in your moment and continue to win.
Boom. All right. Thank you guys as always.
Yes.
For all the support and
for sharing and commenting and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. We read all of them. We see all the shares. We always appreciate it.
Yes.
And we are out.
Bye.